Awesome.
We are
Well,
live.
it does say that we are live. Diamante, I want to thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy schedule for sitting and talking with me. Um, so, see, like you said earlier, like it's weird that it's the other way around. Normally, it's you asking people questions, and now it's my turn to ask you questions. So, let's go before we go into like YouTube and social media. Where did bikes start for you?
7 years ago. 7 years ago, I decided that it is now or never. I want to start riding motorcycle. I never even had a scooter or rode a scooter or anything except from a bicycle before. I haven't been a pillion. I went on R1 once without the helmet with a crazy hard guy who just went full throttle straight line, and I hated it because I got wind in my eyes and it wasn't pleasant experience. But I always wanted to ride, and I decided that it's time. And once I got on the bike, that was it. I got hooked, and that's it. My life changed.
It's crazy, isn't it? Like, so if you don't mind me asking, obviously you're not from the UK. So did you start riding before you come to the UK, or was this kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
like you'd come to the UK and everything started
Yeah,
here?
I passed my
Right.
exam, full exam. So I turned up to 7 years ago. It wasn't that many female riders, and thankfully it is growing now. But back then I came to the instructors and I said, I want a full license. And they said, have you even rode a scooter before? I said, no, I just want a full license. I want a big bike, and I'm going to get a Harley.
Wow. So because you have an 883. Wait, started life as an 883. It's no longer an 8. You've got it
Yeah, no,
1200,
it's
haven't you?
1250 hooligan
So
now.
was that your first bike
That
then?
was my first bike that I got before I even passed my license. So the past couple months when I was in the process of getting a full license, because it takes time with all the exams and practicing and everything. I already had a bike waiting for me, a brand new 883 waiting for me. And the first day I rode it, the stand, how it's called, a stand sensor.
Oh yeah.
It's quite common problem that it didn't work properly. So I
So
stalked
it
the
thought it
bike
was down.
8 times
Yeah.
on different roundabouts, and it was horrible because I was thinking, okay, so I'm a blonde female on that bike, just passed my license. Nobody will ever think that it's a fault in the bike, which is a brand new motorcycle.
Yeah.
Everyone will blame me for not knowing how to ride. But that was quickly sorted by the. They just
Yeah.
took it away and then brought it back.
Instantly they're gonna thought a no, like a new rider doesn't know what she's doing, but obviously that's like you said, that's not the case. But most of the people just cut them out anyway, don't they? I mean, I don't even have them on any of my bikes. Like, and to be honest, I have actually come. I don't know about you, but I've set off from a petrol station, turned and oh fuck, I've done it. I've done it a few times. So obviously, you got on a bike, and then what, like, how long was it before you started thinking? Was you already doing social media stuff, or
Before I started writing, I was teaching fashion at the university, and I was a photographer as well. And
okay?
once I started writing, I obviously took pictures. Just before I even started writing, I had
Yeah.
this Instagram account. I had my professional photography account, which was big, and I had this small account where I was just posting like my personal stuff, mobile stuff, and just any stuff.
Yeah.
And I posted a picture with my Harley on the first, not first ride, but first time when we stopped for photos when I was riding. And the main Harley Davidson shared that photo. Within a night, I got like 2,000 new followers or subscribers on
Wow.
Instagram. And then when I thought it can grow into something, because comments were very positive, and I realized that there's not that many females riding. I didn't know anyone, and I didn't know many people who are riding in the area. I knew some, but they didn't accepted me because I was a female, and they thought this is just a show off. So I felt a bit lonely. I wanted to
Right.
talk about the motorcycles, and I wanted the community, and I found it on Instagram, and that's how everything started on Instagram. It was my community.
Yeah, I mean, because like obviously, like you say, being a woman rider, it's a shame that it was more difficult, because the fact is it doesn't matter what color, what gender, whatever. If you're into bikes, and that's solely what it's about. It's about riding your bikes and talking about bikes. Then it doesn't matter where you're from or what color you are or anything, does it? It's bikes are bikes, and that's like what I say. Like, one of my friends is riding a 125, and he's a bit like, oh, I don't want to go out. I'm like, look, at the end of the day, it will do the national speed limit. I said, that's all that matters. I mean, like I'm currently riding an 89 ZX10, 1987, sorry, 1987 ZX10, and I'm actually building a 125 because I actually miss riding my 125, because the ZX10, as you know, riding big bikes, they just want to go.
Yeah.
So you jump on a 125, you have, I mean, it's cheap to run. You haven't got to worry about breaking the speed limit because it's barely going to do it. And you know, so that's what, like, for me, it's like yourself, it's just about the bikes. I mean, for me, it's about custom bikes. I'm not a fan of stock bikes, but as long as it represents who you are, whether it be just a few stickers or whatever, that's all it's about. So obviously for you, you already had an idea. Like, I can't take photos for shit. Like, I actually I took a picture today, and I got my missus. I was like, have a look at this picture. Does it look all right to you? And she's like, it looks all right, because I'm fucking shit at taking pictures, you know. But so kind of back to, so you like managed to get a picture that Harley Davidson, just obviously they'd seen, obviously it obviously would have been a good quality picture for them to go, do you know what we like?
It
They're
wasn't.
not.
It wasn't that. That's the thing, It was a mobile photo, because in this account, what I wanted to do, mobile pictures, because back then a nice cameras on the phones were just introduced, and I wanted to challenge myself, instead of using my DSLRs and doing it professionally, kind of use the camera that it's always in my pocket. And that's how my account started. Now I turned it into DSLR, and I got rid of the photography account completely. So it's only somewhere a bit. But back then, that was a mobile picture that they shared.
Wow. Oh, that's incredible. That's even better, isn't it? And obviously that's inspiring for people that want to follow. It doesn't matter, like male or female. It doesn't matter. Anyone that wants to follow your journey, like, try to kind of take inspiration from that, knowing that Harley Davidson had acknowledged a photo that was taken off a phone. That's cool. that gives people like me hope, because I can't fucking take pictures for shit. But yeah. So once that kind of happened, then what? You already had an idea. You wanted to push a journey within the motorcycle scene, or what was going on at that time?
I just enjoyed the community that I found online, that I can talk to people about motorcycles, and I started meeting more people and connecting with them on Instagram. And back then, Instagram wasn't a little bit of a mess as it is now.
It's
I
crazy,
started
isn't it?
posting more photos, and then I once I started writing and I discovered that community, I knew that I want to work in motorcycle industry. I knew that I want to, like, the rest of my life, do something with motorcycles, ride as much as I can, or just do stuff with motorcycles, just work with these people and talk about them and show them off, and just be a part of that community. That's how everything started. And then I started getting some invitations from the brands and different things happening, and I saw it as a maybe business opportunity as well. And I did various things. I was a marketing manager at one startup. I was a distributor for a motorcycle brand. So I did various things trying until all of a sudden lockdown came up and I lost everything that I was working on and everything I was putting years on. I still remained my account, but a business side of it completely died.
Wow.
Because
Wow.
like none of the brands wanted to do marketing and invest into that. And I had an e-commerce, a very fresh e-commerce that we worked for in half a year with a business partner. And because we couldn't get products delivered in time, we started losing customers and going into debt instead of making a profit of it. So we had to shut that down, and I end up with nothing. And I looked at it as a opportunity to start something new, and I decided to do YouTube.
Oh wow, wow. I mean, obviously, like to be able to keep that mindset of, do you know what, I still got to do something with it. Like I still have to be in the bike world because, like you say, it turned everyone's life upside down. I mean, I was lucky. I was working in the industry I was working at the time. They needed me during lockdown. So, but it was nothing completely the opposite to kind of this whole social media. I mean, like I say, I've grown up around bikes, but bikes were never like. I mean, when you've got a family to support, bikes aren't always at the beginning of everything, you know. Um, I think sometimes I do my missus head in because I won't touch a bike for ages, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I got to do this, and she's like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, and I've got a brain like that. It's like my brain's like, you know, I'm like doing that, like you know, so for you to still kind of because I mean, first of all, just to be able to become somewhat, just to be able to provide a living, to provide for your family, just off of social media. I mean, I'm trying to learn that, and I find that on its own hard. Let alone being like you say, one of the first women trying to not only create an income through social media, but in the bike world. You know, to be able to continue, like to be able to push forward. Because I can imagine there was days where you found it. I can imagine there was days where you were like, you know, but to be able to continue,
Not
to be able to,
days, months. It
that's
was
what,
months
yeah,
with very little income. I still don't go to eat, like out, and
no,
I still just make a living and
yeah,
invest everything back. I invest everything back into, like, my aim since I started YouTube is to make every single video better than the one before. Improve something. Maybe it's a little bit improved in audio, maybe it's a little bit in color grading, maybe it's a little bit in my own skills, my language, and this like a lot of improvement as a presenter as well as behind the camera. Improve a picture, improve, like, it's a lot to learn and a lot of improvement, and that's why I love it as well. That's what keeps me going, because I'm that kind of person who gets bored once I learn something. I can't do repetitive work. It has to be something where I can learn constantly and feel like it's a lot to learn. And this is why I'm so fascinated about motorcycles, because I'll never be Valentino Rossi on the track, and I will never be somebody like Simon in the workshop. So it's a lot to learn in every single
yeah,
way.
yeah. I think, but like I kind of like when I was like I was trying to catch up on some of your content earlier. So I was supposed to be at the kickback show, which again similar. I couldn't make it, which I was absolutely gutted about because obviously Lorne had said to me, "Oh, come down. You can set up do a podcast," and I was hoping to get down, but I couldn't. So, like, but it's crazy because I started watching your video from Kickback, and I was like, I watched last year's, and then I watched like your last year's when you went to the bike shed show. Because again, I've never so like it's cool to see what you're doing. I mean, and obviously the fact that like you spend most of your camera footage is actually just like you say with music, and you're just looking at bikes. Like a lot, not everyone does that. Not every, and that's not dissing what other people are doing, but you can see that what you're doing is purely driven off the passion of bikes.
But I will tell you, when I started my YouTube, I never watched YouTube. So I came so fresh to the platform, having no idea what anybody doing, how they doing it. And I wanted to remain that way. I
Mm,
didn't want it to get influence of other creators and repeat what they doing. I wanted to find my own way. And that was
mm,
difficult journey because following somebody else's footsteps, it's a lot easier. Algorithm picks you up a lot easier. You can just kind of repeat the way they succeeded. Once you try to, like in any business, isn't it?
mm,
Once you try to find your own path, that takes time. You make mistakes, and then it's a step forward and then step back and then two forward and one back, and little by little you move forward. But now I know that I have my channel, which is different. It is
mm,
mine, and it
mm.
can't be even copied because it's mine. Like, you can copy the way I do it, but you can't copy me. You can't copy my accent.
Do you know? No, no. I'll tell you what. It's really cool that you mentioned that, actually, because one of my best friends, he's Polish, and he's like really into watches. And I said to him, I was like, Raf, you really need to do something with watches. And he's like, I don't want to be on camera. I said, oh, that's fine. I said, but use your voice. And he's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, mate, I said, you've got, like, no one can replicate your accent. I was like, your selling point, if you don't want a face on there and you just want to put a camera on there whilst you describe, the details on this watch, is your voice. And I think he found it a bit weird, like, to understand, because obviously he comes, he's of a different generation, of a different part of the world, where obviously, where it was just work, 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 like that old mindset, not understanding that you can achieve something on social media, and but like you say, being different it isn't about trying to fit in. It's about just making work what you are and who you're about. It's so, when you started doing videos, did you kind of find that they started to just take, like, were they doing quite well straight away, or like?
So, because it was a lockdown, I had no possibility to ride anywhere. I think I did the video about going for a toilet paper to the supermarket and not finding it. And that's when we didn't had any bog roll in the supermarkets. So I went on my Harley, but that was demonetized because of that was COVID content or something. I mentioned
Oh,
COVID
no.
too many times.
Right.
Anyway, I just used what I had. I used what I filmed before, and it wasn't filmed. It was just like a lot of different content. That my aim was to learn editing, because I was thinking the plan B. If my YouTube will not work, the plan B, I can become a good editor.
Right.
So
Okay.
I got a Final Cut Pro straight away to the professional program. And that was very frustrating a few months because every single step I had to learn. But once I learned it, now I can edit videos to the professional level.
Mm,
And I even learned the audio editing to some degree, and the color grading, and all the bits that is not just the main storyline, but actually a little bit further. And if I would have to push that, I know that I can go further with that and become an editor. So that was my plan B. Once the lockdowns are over, or even during lockdowns, I knew that video is taking a big part of all the internet. We discovered that when we created our e-commerce, and instead of using pictures on the website, we used videos,
mm.
because we saw how people getting more uh, addicted and more interested in the moving image rather than just still. So that's why I just used what I had. And then when lockdowns started, like one one was over and before another one started, and had a chance
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
write, I started filming, like, more knowing what I want to show. It was a long journey. It was a long journey for me, and still is a long journey. It's a lot of work. But
Yeah.
when you're passionate about it, when you do it because I can I swear on your podcast?
Yeah, go for it.
I
Yeah, I've
fucking
already
love
sworn
it.
loads.
I love everything. I love everything about it. I love editing because that's kind of finalizing of what's filmed and making it into the story. And somebody told me just hire an editor so you can film and boost that and actually grow up a lot quicker. I said, like, they can't tell my story. My videos are me.
Do you
I
know?
pick the music. I pick when
Yeah.
to do voiceover. I pick what jokes to leave and what content to leave. And this is why it works.
And that's exactly that. I was about like Matt Armstrong, who's like absolutely killing it in the car world on YouTube. He said exactly the same thing. He's like, even though he's in the garage till 4, 5 o'clock in the morning working on his cars, he is the guy creating the videos. And he said exactly the same words. Like, my editor, regardless of whether they're one of the best in the world, he didn't say regardless of whether they're best in the world, but he said my editor cannot tell my story.
Yeah.
And so, like, no, but what I'm interested in is, because, for example, for me, like, I do this every week. I do a podcast at least once a week. Obviously, I work structured hours. I work 4 on 4 off days and night shifts, and like, I don't get masses of views, but it doesn't bother me because I love doing it. So I'm interested to know, like, did your YouTube, was it slow going, but you just continued off the passion, or was it instantly getting like getting people interested in your story straight away? Because I think that if you're seeing noticeable gains, or not, like people, that people are engaging in your video, I can imagine that's possibly a bit easier. Whereas, like, for someone like me, that I struggle with social media all the time. Like, I put all this effort in. It's really slow, and I keep telling myself, no, keep going, because obviously people like yourself are willing to give your time to me. So I keep going on that. But then when I see some silly videos, like, about nothing irrelevant to anything in the world, they're doing absolutely crazy. And I'm like, am I doing something wrong? Or, do you know what I mean? Like, I keep going because I enjoy it. Obviously, this is my 42nd episode. I've just done 3 nights back to back. So I quite clearly love what I'm doing, and I'm massively grateful that you guys entertain me waffling on. But it's interesting to know, because obviously you are somebody that has made this your living. Did you find the progression quite easy, or?
No. You have no idea how many times I was searching for another job, and how many times I've been talked away from quitting, and how many times I was saying, that's it, like, I can't do this anymore, because, or like you say, clearly I'm doing something wrong, because I started watching other videos to do research, and I watched video which is like about nothing, and it gets a lot more views and a lot more interest. And then I realized, when I started my channel, 80% new YouTubers started at the same time during the lockdowns. I was just lost. Then I realized that actually being a female blonde don't do any favors, because if you will open a lot of some females YouTube channels, they more about the appearance rather than about motorcycles.
Yeah.
And I realized that the audience who open me expecting to me, I don't know, just attract them, or just show some body parts, they are getting disappointed and they leave.
Yeah.
And the audience who are into motorcycles, they don't expect my content to be that way. So it was very, very long, and still is very long and difficult journey.
Yeah.
It is. And like you, I was asking myself a lot of times, like, am I doing something wrong? It just takes time.
Yeah, I mean,
If you will keep
yeah,
doing
it's
it,
definitely,
eventually it will work.
and that's it. And I suppose, like, it's about, I think, so basically what we're kind of, by the sound of it, what I think we're both agreeing on is that just keep going, just keep being persistent, because it's obviously, like you say, it filters out people clicking on your channel thinking they're going to see something, and then obviously them, you don't, at the end of the day, you don't want them people anyway.
No,
And then
no.
people, like, I saw a comment on, so I was on, I think when I first contacted you on Instagram, and I was looking at some of the pictures of some of your new pictures, and somebody had put a comment about you, like, and it wasn't even in like a very nice way, and like you just straight away, I think I actually commented underneath, because you just straight away just shut them down. You're like, come back and see me in 20 years time when you look a certain way. And I thought that's fucking awesome, because at the end of the day, you know, you wasn't even stood next to the bike in a way that you were trying to be, you know, like that type of way. You were just stood next to the bike. And I think, like you said, that's some people. It's crazy as well, like how many people are keyboard warriors. Like, you know, there's so many people
It's
that have,
mad, you know, like, and as a female, I found that we are judged a lot more just because it is still a man's world. And I found that unfortunately, some people, they maybe feel insecure, or maybe just want to feel better about themselves by trying to put others down. I'm very, very lucky with my audience, and I'm very lucky, especially on YouTube and on Instagram as well, as I hardly get bad comments. I get them every now and then, but very, very rarely.
yeah, to be
Uh,
honest, I don't either really. I mean, I've had a couple of people, sorry to kind of butt in there, but like I've had a couple of people. It's like my spelling's terrible. Even though I'm born in the UK, I did all of my schooling in Spain. Like I left England at the age of 9, so I only did 4 years in the UK. So I put a piece of content up, basically explaining, like, you know, what I'm trying to achieve, and even put in there about my spelling, you know, and there were spelling mistakes in it, you know, and so I basically said, like, look, my spelling isn't great. This is my excuse, whether it's valid or not, and that's my excuse. I'm sticking to it. And somebody actually commented on something that I'd written wrong, right, or I wrote it incorrectly, and do you know what? Like at first, I wrote a fucking massive essay, and literally before I hit the enter, I just looked at it and I thought, do you know what? The fact that you have openly put that piece to that comment where the whole world can see it. Like I might only have 2,000 followers on Facebook, but some months I'm getting over a quarter of a million people that have reached my content, you know. And I thought, you've just fucking made yourself look stupid. Like at the end of the day, I don't even have to write to you. You just done it yourself, you know. That's what I'm starting
exactly.
to learn now, you know. It's like, because there's that part of me, I'm like, come fucking say it to my face, you know. But obviously, you know, you can't be like that, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And it puts you down. Depends on the day, you know. Like if you have a bad day, and maybe you put a lot of effort. People very often have no idea how much work goes into every single video. They have no idea. It looks like it's fun and games, but once you come back after fun and games with 4 hours footage, so just calculate to watch it alone and to choose the parts that will narrow down to half an hour. That's already 4 hours work. And then you have to narrow it
Yeah,
down, and then you have to edit, and then you have to audio edit, and then you have to just do all the bits and pieces, and watch it again and again and again and again until you get sick of all of that. And then at the end, your computer breaks down, and like you lose something, and then I had times when I had to redo the entire video again. So like,
wow,
and at the beginning, it took me 2 days to edit the video. So I had 2 days work gone, and I had to do another full 2 days to post the video. And I knew that I messed up algorithm because I'm now late with my video. Plus, I'm a mother. I have like housework. I have other stuff happening,
mm,
and the like maybe health issues, maybe other things happening. And you just feel, and you post it, and somebody comments on your audio, or on something that they're not happy about it, and it puts you down. You think like, oh, so why to do that if nobody appreciates it, if it is
yeah.
for nothing? Like, why to go through all that struggle? But it's worth it. It's worth
But
it
then
at the end.
that's it, and it, you know, like so before I started doing this stuff on social media, like I've been very lucky that I was able to learn, well, to start learning how to tattoo. And I lived on YouTube learning how to tattoo, and I got to a level where I was good enough to get into a studio, and then I just found the studio life very, very difficult. I found it very stressful. Not the studio that I was in. It was just that obviously there are so many great artists, and you're all fighting for work, and it was just obviously being the man that's got to provide for the house. It was just hard work. But I really appreciate the journey that I've had so far, and I'm not even finished with my tattoo journey. But like where I'm going with this is that if you go on any of my tattoo content, there's no pictures of my face on there. Like I was absolutely terrified to get in front of a camera, and averagely, so I probably still got it on my phone. So I would have done at least. I'm actually going to have a look now, because I would have done at least 4 or 5 attempts at the video today, where I let people know that we was doing a podcast. So as a matter of fact, I don't know if you can see it there, but the ones right there in the middle, they're all me trying to attempt to do the video today. So, and the reason I show that is like, I absolutely am terrified in front of a camera. I find it easy talking.
Too.
Like I'm just talking to you, so like, and it's incredible. Like we got people. I don't know if you can see the comments, but we got people engaging in the chat.
No, I can't.
So I find it a lot easier. So we've had quite a few. We got like Mike over from in California. We got Robert over in Canada. We got Han in Spain, my friend Han. We got another friend of mine in the UK. And it's crazy to think like we got people that like even at my small level, but like I find it easy talking to somebody, but I find it hard to do stuff in front of a camera. But where I know I'm waffling on it, but what I've learned is just to move out of my own way. Like I stopped myself so much doing stuff because I was nervous in front of a camera. Like I literally like terrible. I mean, even when it come down to doing, so I've put together my first video for YouTube where I've cut my petrol tank up. Like I don't know how to weld. I don't claim to be a fabricator, but I'm kind of like, my journey with YouTube is I just want to show people like my videos aren't how to. My videos are watch me fuck up and try to fix it. Because I think that, and maybe you can relate to this. I think if you just stick true to who you are and don't try to be something you're not, and at the end of the day, you're not here to disrespect the scene, disrespect the culture, regardless of how many bullshitters are going to chat shit, because these guys have never fucking touched a bike, really. These guys that do chat shit, even though we're lucky it's only a small handful, the real genuine guys are just going to appreciate the fact that we're here not trying to take from the scene, we're trying to give back.
Yeah.
I think
that's true. That is true.
But so obviously for you, I kind of waffled on about me a bit here, but so you obviously you were doing YouTube, and because you met Simon, you approached him to do a video of one of his bikes, wasn't it?
So I wanted to build a bike badly. I was obsessed with that idea of building my own bike, and I had no idea where to start. And I decided that probably many people are in this situation like I am. They don't know where to start. They want to do that. They want to do work on their bikes, but they don't know. I opened YouTube and everybody knows everything. Everybody is an expert. You watch them and like your head starts spinning because I realize that they know how to do that already. They have a knowledge. They have a background. They have maybe they just know, and you don't. So I decided to interview builders and ask them how they started and like what are the background. And I still do that. I still talk with people at the show. That's my main question. What is your background and how you started and where you get the knowledge from? And just to show people that everybody starts somewhere and not necessarily from the background of motorcycles. And Simon was one of the builders that I interviewed. And I loved his Sportster so much. I was stoked when I saw his builds and like his personality as well. I think that was like it clicked straight away. Everything.
Do you see a pattern? Like like obviously you've obviously interviewed loads of builders. Obviously, everyone can watch the stuff on. Like as a matter of fact, I was aware of Jay from Heron Cycles from your video, and I've actually already got to interview Jay. And
Oh, nice.
I actually said in the video that, oh yeah, I watched when you got interviewed by, you know, I watched the interview, and he was like, oh cool, and I was like, yeah, I was like, so did you find, because I mean I've already seen a pattern between builders of any level. I think that the guys, I think they all just have a real genuine humbleness about their skill set. You know, like I think that even the guys that aren't able to machine will openly admit, "Oh no, I can't machine. I got a guy that does that." You know, do you
Yeah,
find that?
yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. And I found it inspirational because they just find the way. They just do that and find the way alongside. And even somebody like Simon, he challenges himself with every single build by making some engineering solutions and new things to do, and decides how he can challenge himself on this build. He's not repetitively just does what he knows already, but tries to push it a little further and learn something new, just like anyone. And it did inspire people to start building. I get people coming to me at the shows. I get messages that people started building bikes because of my series, because I genuinely showed that somebody who had no previous skill and no previous knowledge found the way and actually can progress, being a grown up, not necessarily 5 years old, but with mentality of a bike builder of 5 years old, still can progress within time. And I'm not going to Mint that often because he's like an hour and a half away from me, so
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
long
He
drive,
said,
and I
yeah.
have to consider that it's a day to spend here as well. So and Simon is not at Mint every single day, not even 5 days a week. He's only on the weekends. So we kind
Mm.
of try to to find the day when it works for both of us, and it's not necessarily every week. Like this week, for example, it's not working. So it's no Mint day this week. It's only like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and all the boring days. Unless I'll get to ride, then it will be fun.
Yeah,
Ride day.
yeah, and obviously, yeah, yeah, and obviously, well, with the weather, in the UK, you can't always predict that either. I mean, I was going to go out on mine this morning, but it's fucking rain. I'm not that person to prove a point. I ain't got to ride in the rain. I don't like. If I don't have to do it, I'm not doing it. You know, I've got nothing to prove. I'm not one of them die hard all weather ride. No, no, thank you. No, you don't cut mud guards off of things to ride it in the rain. That's for sure. But yeah, so when did you, so was it interviewing builders that you thought, I've got to build bike? Because obviously your first build's Jonesy, isn't it? Yeah, I believe,
Yes.
like
Yes.
proper, like full build. Obviously you done the series where you took the Sportster to the guys and
Yeah.
put the barrels and the exhausts and did lots of traveling on that. You know, so technically you'd already, because I know they did most of the work, but obviously you did bits as well. Yeah, you know, there was little bits and bobs that, well, it
I
appeared.
tried, but it wasn't nothing. I held the grinder first time in my life in my hands when Simon told me to cut the rear end of Jonesy. That was
Mm,
literally, it was filmed how I'm frightened holding that grinder, and he's shouting at me, if you want that rear end off, cut it off. And I had to cut it off. And it was very scary because I heard about this ting, like when you cut the fresh frame and it moves a little
mm.
bit. And he said, just be careful because the blade can snap and it can fly into your face. And like
Oh
that
yeah,
didn't
yeah, that
that
hurts.
didn't help a lot.
Yeah, or when you cut into your fingers. I mean, obviously Simon lost a finger, didn't he? Through in a
No, but that
chain,
was
but
while
yeah,
riding
yeah.
and building a trike. I'm not building trikes, and I'm not touching the chain while riding. Not trying to fix the chain while riding. Don't do that at home.
Yeah, don't do that. Simon will tell. Well, he already said in the podcast that I did with him, that you lose fingers. That
Yeah.
you, yeah. So obviously you decided to build Jonesy. I mean, what was that experience like? Obviously, we all got the people for people that haven't watched. Obviously, for people that haven't watched the series, watch the series on your YouTube channel because you document like everything really. But what did it feel like when you first started building stuff?
That was living a dream. That was something that I wanted to do so badly, and I got to do it in the best possible way, because I probably could do it in like my garage with no electricity by making mistakes, learning from them, and just putting something together, and it would be nothing like Jonesy became. But I had an opportunity to just go wild, and that was crazy to realize that when I asked Simon, like, what should I do, and he said, anything you want. And it was mind blowing that I can actually do anything I want. So at the front end, somebody found in a skip and donated and was missing a
Wow.
yoke, and then I got Fastech to do the yokes and adjust the jigsaw front end to the Honda CB750 and all these things. That was a learning curve for me to learn of what can be done. And also I became a brilliant brackets fabricator because I did so many brackets.
Yeah.
And also I just learned a lot of tool work. I got a lot, I got familiar with tools. It's still the enormous amount of things that I can learn, and I hope I will learn more of that. But it was kind of introduction. Jonesy was my learning build.
Yeah.
It wasn't something I was dreaming to build. It wasn't a donor bike that I would choose. It wasn't something. I just had what I had. It's like taking iPhone photos. You have that camera that you have, and you are in the place that you are, and you do your best. And that was Jonesy. Just
Mm.
doing my best of what I have with like very minimal finance and spending of my credit card mostly,
Yeah.
because everything else was going for a living and into
Yeah.
the filming
Uh,
gear.
And do you know what? Do you know what though? Like, apart from the fact that it's inspiring enough to know that you took on a full project with basic knowledge, it's nice to hear because obviously, like, there's so many people that tell their story when they're on a high or when they're feeling on a high day. They never talk about the. They never talk about the. I'm not saying they don't talk about where they've come from, but like nobody continues to vibe up there. Like like obviously, like we've all got to watch your progress on YouTube, but like there's so many people that wouldn't say like, well, at the end of the day, yeah, I've got sponsors and yeah, I'm doing it full time. But however, I had to have a credit card to do that because I still have that going on in the real world. That like I find that really inspiring because for me, like I'm doing this, I'm trying to do the same. At the end of the day, I don't have a big budget. I'm at the moment I'm supporting a family on my own. It's hard. It's but it's good that you talk about that as well because people I think social media can make the world look incredible.
Exactly,
You know,
exactly. YouTube as well, and you watch the channels that are like they are already there. People are already there, or they try to look that they already made. I never intended to do that, and I probably would be more open about the situation, but I don't want to moan. I want to inspire
no, no,
people,
no, no,
and
exactly,
rather,
exactly.
like talk. I don't want to moan about anything, but I I can honestly say that it is hard work, and it was a lot of days when it was very hard to stay positive and believe that the
Mm,
thing will happen. And
mm,
I was doing it completely out of passion and love
yeah,
to what I'm doing, completely out of that. That
because
was the only thing that was pushing me forward.
do you know what I learned? I would say especially in the last few months with this is passion only comes in on the day you don't want to do it. Because I believe that when you're vibing, when you're like when you finish that project and everyone's like, wow, you've done it. Like you're so excited about that moment, that passion falls to the back of the head. I think personally, I think that the idea of, and I'm not even great with words either, but like with the actual true understanding of it. But I think people think that passion is when you're there in that moment. I don't think it is. I
No,
think
no.
passion's on the
The
day that
true
you don't
passion
want.
is when you grinding, when
Yeah,
you are at your lowest, when you
yeah,
get a bad comment, when your computer again broke down, when you are short on money, when you spending for food of your credit cards, when you're using your ironing board as a tripod because your tripod broke and you can't buy a new one, and your latest video has no audio because one of the microphones decided not to record. That's when the true passion shows off.
yeah, yeah. And I think honestly, I understand that not wanting to talk about it kind of sounds, worried, like thinking that it might sound negative, but I think that's the bread, that's the money right there. Like I don't mean like money, but that's the golden bit there. Like to be able to say that, because there are so many people that really do give up because they think, oh well, how come Tomboy and a Bitch channel's got 70,000+ and I'm creating content, but they they're so focused on what you've got
On
to
the
and
result.
not
Yes.
realize that you've been
Yes.
there.
I get a message from somebody who posted like 10 posts and just started the account and say, how you do that? I said, just keep doing. Like keep doing it for 5 years and then come back to me with your question, but you will not have to because
Yeah,
you will be where I was at that moment after 5 years. You just
yeah,
have to keep doing that. People think it's you skip something and it just happens, and they think that it's a lottery win or luck. It's no luck in it. It's a lot of work behind
mm.
it, and I'm not trying to be negative about it.
No, you're
The
just trying
opposite.
to
I like
inspire.
it.
Yeah,
And you know what I discovered? Because when I started YouTube, because I wasn't watching it, it was everything was kind of unclear how to make it into business and what YouTube is and how to monetize the stuff. I didn't know any YouTubers, especially motorcycle YouTubers. I didn't met anyone, and nobody was telling me what is the background. I learned how to monetize and everything by watching other YouTube videos that teaching you all the process and everything, and that you have to be consistent and all these things I learned. And then I learned videography by reading books and watching the movies and watching about the producers, and then audio like the other way. So like I was learning bits, not from somebody from a YouTuber, but just learning like ingredients, how to create
yeah,
my own channel. And once I started working on it, at the beginning it was exciting and I had no idea what to expect and what is happening. After a while, I realized it's not happening as fast as everybody thinks is. And I realized why people never get to that level, because it takes that long.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, my podcast from 2 nights ago with Truth, Big Truth podcast, like he's been in the custom scene 20+ years in America, and he's done 120 episodes plus on his podcast. And he said to me, and it was like really fucking like a really humble, like I don't think he realized how much it meant to me at that time. Was like he said to me, he said, Josh, he said, you're already doing better than 90% of people trying to do podcasts. And I was like, well, because obviously right now, like we've got 7 viewers, and like I said, I'll continue because I love it. And for me, the 7 people that are watching mean everything because they're watching, they're engaging in it. But like he said most people just stop after 5 episodes. He said they didn't get any engagement, But like for me, like now I've got a point to prove. And it sounds weird because like obviously I'm spending a lot of time in front of this camera, and my kids obviously get fed up, and like I have to show them because I can't give them education because I'm not educated academically, but I have to show them that, look, like this is going to work. It has to work. And like I really believe that I have the ingredients to something here, and not just the podcast. I mean, the podcast started after. I just feel that like I feel that it's going to go somewhere. It's gonna I'm gonna and not only am I gonna get there, I believe that this done correctly, what I'm trying to do, will have the ingredients to give to other people. Do you know what I mean? I
That's
don't know
I
why.
know
I don't
exactly
know
what
why.
you mean. Exactly what you mean, because I was like, what was pushing me as well, it was that having a platform when you can share I always say that my YouTube is not about me, it's about motorcycles and people in motorcycles, and that is why I prefer to interview people. And unfortunately I have to do stuff that is bringing new audience, but my
Yeah.
favorite episodes are inspiring stories and people who are talking about that. And the workshop with Simon, who is incredible, and he just does amazing stuff somewhere in I forgot how it's called, the county, can't pronounce it anyway.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Hertfordshire, Hertfordshire,
Hertfordshire. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Hertfordshire, yeah, somewhere in Hertfordshire,
Yeah.
and he's amazing, and he needs to be shown.
Yeah. And that's probably one thing that you that you probably see where you see more than me. Like the most incredible people are just like just want to be left alone. Like they're just
Yeah,
like I've got a friend local to me, and he has an American. He built American hot rods like muscle cars, Mustangs, 67s. He's got a Chevy, he's got a Chevy Nova. And like I walked into his garage and I just stood there. I was like, wow. And he goes, what? And I was like, I said, man, you need to get on social media. He's like, no, I don't, I don't know. And I'm like, man, and I kind of want to get to this next as well. And I said to him, like, I was like, look, there are people that absolutely love this stuff that aren't able to get to it, like whether they can't afford to get to shows or whether they're physically unable. I said, and this is where I want to get to with you next is like, people connect, like like wait for that next video, like, and that's one thing like where I'm going to get to with you is like, do you have you do you like you get a oh, sorry for it's like I really love this shit, like it's like people almost become reliant on your next video. It becomes part, like some people in a bad way mentally or physically, or they're going through some shit like that. You must have that, especially you can't have a following as big as you and not have people that like, don't know
yeah,
where's the
yeah.
next video. Like I need that in my life. Like it almost come become a not a proper superhero, but do you know what I mean? Like you become like somebody that's like people rely on your next piece.
Yes, yes. And when you get a message that like my journey that I'm sharing in my videos and what I'm sharing, the stories that I have a wonderful access to interview people that not everybody can talk to, and I have great access to get to the places that not necessarily everybody can get to. And I realized that being able to share that, I can change somebody's life to make it better, to make somebody happier. And I try to do every single episode so people, when they watch it at that time, it makes them happier. It will inspire them. It will encourage them to do something that maybe they were scared to do. And it's not necessarily can be about the motorcycles. It can be anything in the personal life, to quit the job that they hate. And I did a few videos. I did a video about the fair, and I did a video about all like different aspects. And I talk about it a little bit, not too much, because I don't want to go too deep into that, because then it might become a little bit boring. But I just want them to gain from it in every single aspect, not just the knowledge, what YouTube is known for, but also other things that are a lot
Yeah.
more maybe important for a mental health, because I was struggling with mental health issues a lot, and a few times where I was in the very bad position. And I know that motorcycles in general is very good for mental health. Riding and
Oh
building
yeah.
motorcycles is like
Oh
meditation.
yeah.
And by opening it up, sometimes I say it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to say that you are not okay. Like I say, I try not to talk too much about it, because I don't want to but for people to think that I'm complaining or to feel pity for me, like oh, poor tomboy a bit doing the videos and living, like just go and find normal job if you're struggling financially, but you know what I mean. It's just
no, 100%. I mean, like I've said quite a bit on my, like I openly say, like, I'm somebody, I get stuck in my head, like like I said, I'm learning to get out of my own way. I'm a big believer in, like, it's okay not to be okay, but where I think the most important bit is that's missing is on the, I believe there's a piece on the end that is, it's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay to stay there. And I think, unfortunately, in the UK especially, and I think it's a shame. I don't think that bit's pushed enough. I think that piece, when they did the whole commercial thing on the telly where it's okay not to be okay, I really think it's such a shame that a piece that I believe belongs at the bottom, which is the most important bit. You've already done the hardest bit. You've already admitted that there's something not right. So you've already done the hardest bit. Now let's get you off that, because I think that when you aren't okay, or whether you're the child of somebody that's not okay, like, I don't think that people really realize how far down that shit falls, like, so that's why I say, like, and this isn't a podcast where we're starting to, like, go into that type of shit, but I think it's important that the people know that bike people, car people, tattoo people, whatever, it doesn't matter. Like, we all have that type of thing. And we all, if we're lucky to find something where you're able to disconnect from the real world, motorbikes, tattoos, like, I mean, I've experienced when I've been tattooing, and I literally, it sounds crazy, but I almost feel like I'm not even there. I feel like I'm watching myself tattoo. I can't hear the music. My customer's not talking. And honestly, I believe it's an incredible feeling. I think if you're lucky enough to experience something that you truly enjoy, whether it be what we're doing, whatever, I think just chase it. And and if you don't feel like you're ready to chase it, maybe it just isn't for you to chase. That, like, I respect tattooing enough to realize that I'm not able to do it full time. I don't have it in me to commit to it for whatever reason. So I just moved on to something that I grew up more around, which was bikes. But no, it's incredible. Yeah, it's an incredible thing. So, kind of, I keep waffling on here, but so, like, where did you realize that? Because obviously you're building a track bike as well, yeah. If I'm right, you're building a track. You built the track bike.
Yeah.
That's how far off I'm back then. So I've started watching. Sorry. So I watched all the Jonesy stuff. I was irrelevant when all that stuff was getting done. I was watching, like, every week, but I would never comment because I wouldn't want to be one of them.
You have to leave a comment and share and subscribe as well, because that helps the channel.
Yeah. See, obviously back then I would just watch. Like, I didn't even have a YouTube channel. I'm like, it's like, that's what I mean. Like, for me, the whole social media thing, I didn't want to be relevant on the screen back then. So I say I watched all of it. I watched. That's how I know you did the 1200 cylinders. I watched all that stuff back then. That's how, obviously, I knew that you're doing all the work with Simon and things. So you built the track bike, and obviously these are two different. It's interesting because, like, for me personally, I'm only into custom bikes. Really, I think like, do you like them types of bikes on the road, or do you just like them for a track?
I will be honest. I can come back after a week somewhere riding every single day, like trip, and exhausted after the flights and riding. And I walk to the shop and I see the bike on the road, any bike, and I want to ride it. So for me, it really, I'm lucky to have a choice what bikes I want to ride, but really I just love riding. And I think that riding fast bikes and riding a super bikes will make me a better rider. And then I will be riding custom bikes better, and it will make me more experienced rider as well, because I want to gain as much knowledge as I can to do my interviews as good as I can, because I can talk better about the custom side of it. I can talk better about the engineering side of it a little bit, because what I'm doing in the workshop. And by riding on track, I will be able to ride bike like better, and to talk deeper into and feel that as well. And this is for a few reasons. That's why I just want to ride everything. I just want to ride everything to become a better rider. Maybe not adventure bikes that much, but if I would have a chance to learn to ride adventure bikes properly, then I would go for it. No doubt. It's just I feel like it's just to tiptoe into that every now and then. It's not enough. It's like a completely different aspect where you actually have to have access to an off-road to learn to do that. And at the moment, I don't have this opportunity, but I have opportunity to ride the track and to ride super bikes on the road to become better on that, and I just go for it.
I mean, that'd be a cool collaboration, when Itchy Boots and Tomboy in a bit, because she does all the Dakar style stuff and the adventure stuff. That'd be cool. You know, even my son watches her videos. He likes where she travels all over the place on her. I think she's riding a Triumph, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah. So that's like because for me, like super bikes, I just believe they belong on a track. Like for me on a road, I'm not here to talk shit on them, but I think generally when something really goes wrong, like motorbike related on the road, accident wise or speed, it seems to be super bikes behind most of it. But I don't know. But that's just me though. I just kind of grew up around like 500-pound built things that just, do you know what I mean? Like my dad was like putting a set of ape hangers on a 600 FJ, Yamaha FJ 600, like, you know, ape hangers. It's just like, they just don't go. And, but that's all that it was. I mean, you know, just building bikes. I just always loved. I always like making something. If I could get someone to ask what it was, I'd felt like I'd achieved what I wanted to achieve, you know? Like if I can make it somewhat unrecognizable to its original, you know, way it looked, that's all I wanted to do. So, and I've been lucky that I've done it a few times, you know, but I've not owned a Harley yet. I've not got to. My dad owns a Harley. He won't let me anywhere near it. Because I've told him I want to get rid of all the chrome, and he says that's fucking horrible. I'm like, he should send me a picture the other day. Actually, he's got a new mag front wheel. I'm like, I've got a number for a guy that'll sort that mess out. It's all shiny, you know. And he's like, what the fuck's wrong with you? And I'm like, it's fucking horrible. You know, chrome doesn't get you home, you know. It's but yeah. So obviously that's kind of. So you built the sports bike, which I'm really sorry I haven't watched any of that. Actually, I knew you were doing it, but I just didn't watch.
It wasn't a serious like Jonesy, because that bike was the parts were under the bench where I was building Jonesy, and it wasn't the actual build. The rear end was built, but apart from that, majority of the parts Simon found in the house.
He's actually just joined the live. Actually, he says, "Typical, I'm late to the party."
So you missed, Simon. You missed everything horrible that I said about you.
Yeah, we just chat loads of shit about you, Simon. Really,
a lot. You have to rewatch that.
Yeah, you're gonna have to shut down like everything. Mint Customs is gonna, because people are now looking for you.
Yeah.
No, we're not really.
We will have to close the shop. That's what they do in American videos. I've been told we'll lose the shop.
Or lose shop, but yeah. So obviously, anyway, back to it wasn't a build series like you did with Jonesy. Then it was just
no. It was a very good learning. Few episodes of learning different things, like rebuilding the forks, or about like doing the rear end, and just different bits and bobs that I learned on it, but that's about it, and put it together.
So have you been out on the track on it?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
I haven't
Not yet.
I haven't ridden it yet at all.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's going to be are you excited to get on a track?
I'm very excited. In fact, I just got a longer term loan, Suzuki 8R, to practice more on the road. So I'm more
Okay.
familiar with the sitting position and everything to ride better. I'm very excited about that part of the journey as well. Very, very excited.
Yeah, yeah. I've been lucky enough to do a little bit of track stuff. Nothing at all like what like Simon and his boys have done, but um I got to do a lot of mini motor riding when I was little, living in Spain, and then I was lucky enough to kind of dabble in a little bit more of like pit bike racing. Pit bike racing is really fun. Like, you got some of the world superbike riders, like the mini GP bikes, the Ovali bikes. At the end of the day, they're basically a pit bike. They run a YX 140 or a 160 engine. They've just made them look a bit. Obviously, in the Ovalis, for example, there's a lot more engineering gone in. They've got a trellis frame, there's proper geometry in that. But you can still go and buy a 140 pit bike off eBay for, I don't know, let's say 500 quid. Get some 14-inch, 12-inch supermoto wheels in there, and you can hit a track, and like, because I was lucky enough to have a couple of goes at the British Mini Bike Championship, and I tell you what, they're ruthless. Like some of the big guys that are doing big track days on Fireblades and things like that, you tell them about it, and they're like, "Oh no, I'm not going to do that." And I just say to them, like, "Look, Leon Haslam, Scott Redding, Peter Hickman, like all these dudes randomly just turn up in the Winter Series and race." I said, so if these guys are doing it, you know what I mean? It's really affordable compared to. I mean, I can imagine a track day on a big bike like yours. I would say probably minimum £300 at a guess.
Yeah.
I've never done it. So, but yeah, no, it's going to be being on that track, on that start line, or even if you're not racing, you just pull onto the track, the stomach, the knotting, the hair, the hairs are standing up, and it's just a great environment. But yeah, have a go. I think you'll either go that road and all of a sudden there's no more custom bikes and you've remortgaged everything just to carry on racing because it's an expensive road.
I don't think it's gonna happen because once I started learning from Simon and coming to Mint Customs, it was a point when I had to make a decision whether I invest more time and effort into building bikes or more time and effort into making a content about building bikes. And at the end of the day, I decided that I am a content creator first of all, and everything else comes after. Because to be able to produce a good video, you have to put it first. You have to think all the time of what you have to film, how you have to film, and how to make it appealing and beautiful and inspiring and entertaining for your audience.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean that on its own, I think you've got to have patience. Like, I've tried to do a tiny bit of it, nothing at all like what like yourself's able to achieve. I mean, I've already ruined the front of my screen because I got the phone facing the wrong way whilst I'm welding, and it's all this slow motion. It looks great, but trying to pick bits of weld out of my phone, it's like fuck, I've ruined the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's so you obviously, do you not think by building a bike that's also creating content though, or is that what you meant?
No, but like you build a bike, but it has to be filmed.
Yeah,
it's not just happen. You don't have a magic camera with you all the time. I'm very lucky that I have Iggy helping, but not always. And a lot of time and effort goes into placing the cameras, setting up the audio, thinking when to put them on, because they're not fully on all day. It's not like if I will film 10 hours day or 8 hours day, I'll have a lot of shitty footage without, like, I have to think of the angle where the camera will go, and check microphones all the time, and that is just the studio. And when I'm outside the studio, it's different cameras. It's one camera when I talk to the camera, and it's another camera when I'm writing, and then it's like it's really changing, and it's a lot of thought into that.
Yeah, no, that's, and I mean, obviously, like you say, I keep thinking, how am I going to try and get some footage on my bike? But I'm like, oh, I don't have that. I thought I see some people where they're holding their phones. I think if I tried to do that, my phone would be gone. You know, it's like fucking. I mean, and then I've seen like some people. I've asked them, and obviously they don't want to say, because I'm like, how are you getting the audio perfect from the exhaust? Like, you clearly got a camera bolted to your chest somewhere, but the audio is like on point from the exhaust. I'm like, you must have a camera near, a microphone near the exhaust, and
Yeah.
they won't say. And I'm like, come on, like, and they're like, no, and they just don't really acknowledge it. And I'm like, come on, like,
Really, they don't tell you?
no, this one person, I get it. At the end of the day, give away all your stuff. It's obviously, it is what it is. But I mean, is that how you do it? You have a microphone near the exhaust.
So you have like something like a audio recorder next to exhaust, or like
Whilst
next
you're
to the
riding it?
tail end. Yeah.
Okay.
Like, so
Yeah.
it's separate audio recording the exhaust, or like
Right.
the bike running, which I'm not always use because I have in helmet microphone, so that blocks majority of the wind,
Yeah.
and is basically when I'm riding and I'm talking, people hearing what I'm hearing, the bike, the
Yeah.
way the rider hears. But when I'm doing short videos, when I'm doing reels and shorts, I have a separate audio recorder, which I will send you a picture of, so you can buy exactly the same. And I know that a lot of top content creators using exactly the same, and you just stick it somewhere next to the exhaust, but make sure that like the wind is blocked.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking, how the fuck are you gonna make sure the wind's? Yeah. Like, if you're
You
exhausted.
have like a
Yeah.
big windshield thing.
All right. What? And you stick that on the bike whilst you're riding it?
Yeah.
I'm already thinking in my head, where am I going to stick that on my ZX10? I got like a cafe racer style back end. There's nothing.
Oh, you just stick it anywhere. You can like tape it on, or sometimes I put it in the pocket of my rucksack, so the wind is blocked.
Okay.
But it's
Yeah.
near the bike, so it's like
Right.
different ways. Some bikes has some department under the ump or something like that, so you can stick it here. So
Yeah.
that's what you use.
Yeah, because like some of them, I mean, some of them videos, like just where you can just hear, like you just see where they're riding, and you can hear perfect exhaust notes. Like you can hear every backfire, and like the people love that. And I'm like, I could probably do that. I could do it my way. You know, I mean, my bike has a great overrun. You know, pops and bangs and like spits flames, and I'm like, that would be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's cool. That is cool. So yeah, well, I think we've kind of touched on a lot of obviously a lot of your journey so far, and obviously at the moment you're still building the Sportster, which actually I saw the video where that was surprise to you. I think that might have been like, obviously I started trying to catch up on stuff recently before I knew I was going to interview, because I wanted to get up to date with everything. I haven't had the chance to watch everything. The last one I was watching was the Kickback, because that came to the top of your page. I was like, right, click on that. But I knew that obviously I knew you got the Sportster as a surprise. Like, what? Like that? Obviously, that's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, because I was always dreaming, once I got my Sportster, I was always dreaming to build my own hardtail, but I didn't want to cut my Sparrow, because that's the only like my bike that I have.
Yeah.
And a hardtail, as we know, it's not very practical.
Have you obviously you've ridden hardtails then? 'Cause you've done a few, you've done a few videos where you've been on. I saw one
Yes,
where you,
yes. So they are hardtails. I like that manual feeling, but like you don't want to ride it for hours and hours every day, like all year and
yeah,
all the time. Is different.
yeah, yeah. I'm current. My bobber that I'm building at the moment, I'm doing it. Well, taking out the rear shocks and putting solid mounts in. So it's pretty much a hardtail, really. You know,
Yeah,
it's not going to have any suspension on the back. But so what, like, when you obviously got that bike, obviously there's video content when they surprised you with it, and that, like, how was that for you at that time?
I'm not very good with surprises because
I mean, it didn't look like you were massively impressed, not knowing what was going on the
yeah,
program.
yeah, because I was it was strange because I just don't know how to react when something like that happens. I'm a bit lost. It takes time for me to realize that it happened because a majority of the things in my life I am in control, and I like it takes time for me to make decision, and then I commit to it, and then I go towards it and I achieve it, and that feeling of achievement that I did it myself, that is probably the best feeling ever. And this is why I work so hard, because I want, and this is why when somebody commented about that a lot of females using their parents to easy way. This is why I'm not going easy way, because I just love achieve it the way I want. So at the end I know
Mm,
that I honestly fucking did it. Anyone
yeah,
can say anything, anyone can believe a luck or because I'm a female or because I know that I worked really hard to be where I am. And this is why probably
absolutely.
like when that bike just appeared, that was a shock to me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would have been like straight away. I'd have been like, right, what am I actually going to do? Like, that's
No, but that's another thing. I knew what I want to do already. So
yeah,
that build happened in my head before, like I could even practically put it together. It happened
yeah,
years ago. So I knew which way it will go anyway.
yeah, yeah. No, that's it, innit? And then you've just got to execute it. I'm kind of the same. Like when I built my stuff, like my friends, I tell them, like, the worst one is when I try to tell my friend who did my paint job, when I'm trying to get out of my head what's in my head, he looks at me and he's like, "Fucking here we go again." You know, because I don't have a basic paint job like obviously a lot of people in the custom world. I was like, right, I want it to look like this and do this and do that, and he's like, "Fuck me," you know. so, recent, he stopped painting, and I'm still trying to convince him that he's painting my next tank. And he's like, "Josh, I'm not even painting." I'm like, "Yeah, but Richard, I've got this fucking idea." And he's like, "No, I'm not painting, Josh." I'm like, "Oh, maybe you are though." It's like,
I
you
think
know,
Simon is like this sometimes with my ideas. He's like, I see from his look straight away that it wasn't a good idea. And I have to give up that one.
yeah, yeah. Sometimes. So at the moment, I'm trying to convince my friend that we're gonna do. I want part of the tank like bare metal, and I want to, because on my ZX10 I've got it where like it looks like the red's been torn off the side of the tank, so it's got like all like a torn effect in it, and I did all the airbrushing and the drop shadow and made it look as, I mean, I'm impressed with it, and people that see it comment on it. So I said to him, I want to do the same with my ZX with the bobber tank. He said, but I want to do it. I said to him, I said, but I want to do it on bare metal. He's like, no. He said, I'm not doing it. He said, I'm not doing it. I'm like, yeah, but, and he's like, no. He's like, I told you I'm not fucking painting. I'm like, yeah, but you know, like trying to convince the MOT guy that I don't need a front brake on my bike, and he's like, no, you do. It's the law. And I'm like, yeah, but what if I just hang it in a bag off the handlebar? He's like, no, it has to be mounted. Uh, I'm like, but now I can't shave the forks down because I want to go with that minimalistic front end, with just the wheel and forks. I don't want anything on it. I'm like, but now I have to leave the mounts on. He's like, well, yeah, because it's the law. I'm like, but is it? I'm like, no. Yeah. That's uh, I'm sure if I, extra 20 quid, I'm like, look, there is a front brake. That'll do. Otherwise, I got to go and buy another front end. I don't want to have to really. I mean, I suppose I can just buy one fork and a leave the caliper on that, and just swatch it over. But anyway, so I think we are about done. It's been a privilege to listen to your story, and obviously people that want to follow your story on Instagram and YouTube, how do they find you?
Tomboybit.
Tomboybit. Both spelt the same, isn't it, on your Instagram
Everywhere.
as well? Yeah?
Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, everywhere it's Tomboybit.
Awesome. Well, I think I want to thank you for taking the time to sit and talk to me, and hopefully at some point I'll get to actually say hello to you at a show somewhere. I said I should have been at Kickback, but I couldn't make it. I was like, fuck. I'm going to try and get down to the bike shed. Are you having a bike on display there this year?
No.
Last year you went just with Simon just to a walk around and interview. You interviewed a few people, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Awesome. All right, then. Well, we'll leave you to it. And thank you very much.
Thank you. And thanks for everyone. I can't see how many people, but if it is 7 and Simon, thanks for everyone.
7 and Simon. Yeah, Simon was late, but it's all right.
Simon's late to the party, but he can watch later.
He can. That's the thing. I just click a button and it's saved. And I'm like, and then I pull the audio and put it on Spotify, and it goes on to Amazon Music as well. Some people don't want to. Yeah, I was like, we're trying. I'd probably pick your brain for ages on social media stuff and content, because I sometimes I even look at my kids. I'm like, do you know how this works? And they're like, well, I just watched the videos, Dad. And I'm like, yeah, but he said, see you next Monday.
See you next Monday.
See you next Monday.
I'm bringing Jonesy.
Are you going to be doing a video?
Obviously.
We'll get to watch the video.
You will.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See ya.